is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Good day, Philippines, and good day, world. I'm Sarah Santos. It's Wednesday, 30th of August, and you're watching Newsline World. We're here to bring you the top stories we've gathered from all over the globe. First, a former palace spokesperson has something to say regarding the AFP Chief's statement over the Philippines-China naval drills. Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdoğan is set to meet soon. Let's find out more about that later on. Ukraine has claimed the capture of Robotyne, a key village on the Zaporizhia front. In Niger, pro-coup supporters want France out of their country after its French envoy refuses to leave. And Iran finally inaugurated the last phase of what would be the biggest offshore gas field in the world. These and more for tonight's edition of Newsline World. And for our first story, some good news. SMNI News Channel continues to reap recognitions from various award-giving bodies, including the Global Iconic Aces Awards held on the 28th of August at Okada, Manila. Jason Rubrico has the details.
SMNI News Channel continues to soar high and now has been awarded as the Global Iconic Broadcasting Network for Public Affairs.
Goes to SMNI News Channel.
SMNI News Channel has once again proved its reputation for bringing truth that matters after receiving another award. Held at Okada, Manila this Monday night, SMNI News has clinched the trophy for Global Iconic Broadcasting Network for Public Affairs.
Maraming salamat sa SMNI sa laging pagsuporta at sa pagbibigay ng patas at makatotohanang balita. Maraming salamat sa inyo. Isa sa awardee natin ang SMNI dahil nga sa pagpapakita ng, alam mo yung maituturing natin na iconic dahil sa tuloy-tuloy, lalo na nung pandemic, kayo ay isa sa naging instrumento para magpahatid ng mga balitang makatotohanan.
To the Global Iconic Aces Awards, we are so grateful for recognizing SMNI as an iconic broadcasting network for public affairs. And this honor goes to Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy as the driving force, the brain, and the inspiration to all of us in SMNI who are working tirelessly for nation building and truthful public service. Pastor, this is for you, and this is all because of you. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, I believe in the visionary leadership of Pastor Kibuloy for SMNI. The investments he's giving towards quality production. It's really, kita mo naman kita mo that, you know, our technology, our facilities, it's not cheap, no? It's always, you know, towards that excellence na ini-embody nung award. And rightfully, it belongs to SMNI because, you know, it's global in reach, it's iconic in its positioning and its advocacy, and of course it's acing nation building, which is what it stands for. Congratulations.
And also I just want to say a huge congratulations to SMNI News. Thank you so much for all the things that you do, and I wish you all the best and still continue to spread the good word.
The presidential and senatorial debates were held through the SMNI. And that's why muluso kayo talaga sa consciousness ng mga tao. So, congratulations and carry on.
This week, SMNI News Channel continues to receive awards after awards for its significant contribution to nation building and the Philippines' development. SMNI's achievements and recognitions are because of Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy's mandate to deliver truthful and fair news to the Filipino people. 2023 has yet to end, but SMNI News Channel has already received more than 30 awards from various award-giving bodies in the Philippines and other countries. For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SMNI News.
President Bongbong Marcos has directed the Bureau of Customs to continue raiding warehouses to suppress rice smugglers and hoarders. This order comes after a meeting at Malacanang focused on the supply and price of rice in the country. Cablelink has the details.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has ordered the Bureau of Customs to continue raiding warehouses to crack down on hoarders and illegal rice importers. During a press briefing at Malacanang on Tuesday, Customs Commissioner Bienvenido Rubio stated that the BOC is intensifying efforts to tackle illegal agricultural imports by validating all warehouses, especially those storing imported rice.
Well, as per the directive of the President, ang gagawin ko po natin is we will validate all warehouses that are storing imported rice, and then upon validation, we will then issue, I will then issue letters of authority to conduct inspection on these warehouses.
Rubio also provided updates on agency's efforts, mentioning the recent surprise inspection of rice warehouses in Bulacan.
In a recent service of a letter of authority, we served 3 letters of authority against 3 warehouses reportedly utilized in storing imported rice located at the Intercity Industrial Complex, San Juan, Balagtas, Bulacan.
The 3 warehouses subjected to inspection were Great Harvest Rice Mill Warehouse at Intercity Industrial Complex, San Pedro Warehouse Intercity Industrial Complex, and FS Rice Mill Warehouse. The BOC chief revealed that around 505 pesos worth of rice suspected of being illegally imported from Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand were found in these warehouses. Owners and operators of these warehouses have been prohibited from taking out goods unless they can show necessary documents for the rice imports. They have until September 8th of this year to prove payment of necessary duties for the goods.
The subject warehouses were sealed temporarily to secure the imported stocks of rice found therein, pending the completion of the inventory by the assigned examiners, which will continue on today, August 29.
Meanwhile, Rubio assured that culprits will be charged if owners and operators of the mentioned warehouses are found guilty. Rubio also mentioned the ongoing collaboration of BOC with the Department of Justice in filing charges against caught smugglers.
Doon po sa mga nakasuhan, and tuloy-tuloy naman po kaming nagfa-file ng kaso, and now we are now in close collaboration and coordination with DOJ para po mapabilis yung pagsampa ng kaso at pag-file ng charges against the smugglers po na nahuli natin, na-identify natin.
For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Cablelink, SMNI News.
We're back and you're still watching Newsline World. The Philippine Department of Education calls on parents of students in EMBO schools not to compare school supplies received from the cities of Makati and Taguig and to pay more attention to their children. Jason Rubrico files this report.
There is excitement and nervousness among students and parents on the first day of classes in EMBO schools that used to be under Makati City, but now they are under the jurisdiction of Taguig. However, some of the parents were confused about what uniforms their children would wear as well as their home address.
Medyo magulo sir kasi nahihirapan kaming explain sa bata kung ano yung magiging address nila, kung mama saan ang school ko, bakit sabi nila, bakit Taguig, bakit Makati, tapos walang since transferee, walang issued uniform, anong isusuot.
Actually, very confusing sa mga student kasi hindi nila alam kung yung uniform ba na susuotin nila, ano bang susuotin na, Taguig ba or Makati, pero
Meanwhile, teachers said they were unaffected by the tensions between the two cities. They said they are focused on the mandate of the Department of Education in providing quality education.
Kami mga teachers, ready kami just to serve the students. It doesn't matter po. Kasi we look into the goals of Department of Education po. We submit ourselves to the commitment of the Department of Education to provide quality basic education.
And we are here to help naman both the city government of Makati and the city government of Taguig na hindi magkakaroon ng anumang problema.
Due to the tension between the cities of Makati and Taguig, DepEd has decided that the Office of the Secretary will first oversee the 14 schools covered by the Supreme Court decision. On Tuesday, DepEd inspected AMBO schools to ensure the smooth start of classes. According to Education Assistant Secretary Francis Bringas, they have not seen any untoward incidents in the said schools. Meanwhile, Bringas asked parents not to compare the school supplies received from Taguig and Makati. He said it is better just to guide the children in their studies.
Let us spare our children from all these controversies and just guide them on focusing on their studies. So kung ano man yung mga materials and other learning equipment na darating sa kanila, it's best to accept them and be thankful.
So far, the transition process is underway for 14 schools. Part of the transition process is inventorying properties in the schools, which Bringas said is one of the challenges they are facing.
Most of the challenges will probably be on properties, kung kaninong property ang itong material na to, itong facility na ito. So that's why the inventory will really help in really establishing who owns the property, the school, the equipment inside the school, the buildings, and so on.
DepEd hopes that a final transition plan will be formulated by next month. Meanwhile, based on DepEd data, only 22.9 million students have been enrolled. This is far from the expected enrollment outcome of more than 28 million students. But according to DepEd, it is too early to say if there was a drop in the number of students who enrolled this school year.
It's early to say, it's too early to say that we have decreased enrollment for this school year because as per history and as per trend in the past years, our final number for enrollment only comes in after 2 weeks because that is the time that the schools have completed their uploading of their enrollment data into our learner information system, which is managed at the central office.
Calabarzon registered the most students with more than 3.4 million, followed by Central Luzon and Metro Manila. DepEd is currently accepting late enrollees. For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SMNI News.
Still in the Philippines, the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development is seeking help from Congress to implement President Bongbong Marcos' National Housing Program. MJ Mondihar tells us more.
President Bongbong Marcos declared a National Housing for Filipinos program a flagship in July of this year. Executive Order 34, issued by the President, directs all government agencies, GOCCs, and local governments to submit plans on how to carry out the program. Thus, during the Housing Department's presentation to Congress on Tuesday, August 29, the agency outlined its steps to achieve its goal and defended its proposed national budget for 2024. The primary requirement is funding. House Undersecretary Roberto Juanchito Dispo said their department needs 36 billion pesos per year for the program.
Ayon sa projections ninyo, ano po yung maximum na babayaran ng ating gobyerno? Ilang daang bilyon?
Ang assumption po namin, Madam Chair, is 36 billion per year.
Dispo explained that this is only for the interest subsidy they're requesting from the government for 1 million housing projects. This will extend for 30 years. However, he anticipates that beneficiaries only need part of the 30 years to repay their housing amortizations.
On the assumption that the beneficiaries will improve their lives with the increase in salary, increase in the value of the property.
Beneficiaries will only pay 1% of the amortization rate for the requested interest subsidy from the Housing Department. The government will cover the remaining 5%. This means instead of paying 8,000 pesos, they will only have to pay around 4,000 pesos to 3,500 pesos per month for amortization.
Namumblema na rin po kami sa ganyang kwentuhan. Yung 36 million, after a year, another 36 million.
Yes po.
So 3 million, you need about 100 million subsidy.
Apo, so pag-aralan na lang po natin.
Aralin po namin lahat yan.
The Housing Department is seeking additional funds from Congress, especially since President Marcos aims to build 6 million housing projects during his term. Secretary Acuzar states that the miracle is needed.
Previous administration, produce na 50,000 units a year. Dito sa programa ng Presidente, 1 milyon to isang taon. Kaya medyo milagro ang gagawin natin dito. Kung di ako susuportahan ng Kongreso, mahihirapan po ako rito.
The private sector partners with the government in this endeavor. The agency has requested 16.2 billion pesos for 2024. However, the Budget Department has only approved 5.4 billion pesos. This is considerably lower than their 4.7 billion peso budget for this year. This will not be the last time that the National Housing Program of the Marcos Jr. administration will be tackled here in the lower house, as this issue will be open again in the upcoming plenary deliberations for the 2024 proposed national budget. For Ganamabulu Philippines, I'm Jay Mondihar, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, a former palace spokesperson commented on the AFP chief's rejection of the joint military exercises with China. Jane Cudnita reports.
Former presidential spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque has advised AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr. regarding his recent statement. The bilateral naval drills between the Philippines and China are unlikely to be held. On SMNI's program Pulso ng Bayan, Attorney Roque stated that Browner is not the official spokesperson and that he should let President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and the Department of National Defense to handle comments on this matter.
Parang nalilito siya na hindi na siya spokesperson ng Hukbong Sandatahan. No? Siya ay Chief of Staff na ng Hukbong Sandatahan. No? At yung mga salitang binanggit niya, ito yung mga salita na dapat banggitin lamang ng Chief Architect of Foreign Policy, ang Presidente, o di naman kaya ng Department of Foreign Affairs. Pagdating naman sa mga kasunduan na pinasok ng Pilipinas, pagdating sa defense cooperation, sana hinayaan na niya ang magsalita dyan ay ang kalihim ng Department of National Defense. Ang Chief of Staff, ikaw nga ang number 1 sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, pero ikaw ay susunod sa chain of command, at ang chain of command ay ang Presidente parang.
Browner earlier said that the military exercises between Manila and Beijing may not push through due to the tensions and incidents that have happened in the West Philippine Sea or South China Sea. He also stated that China needs to cease what he described as coercive and dangerous tactics in the disputed waters. Attorney Roque, on the other hand, emphasized that such statements should originate from the president. The former palace spokesperson also clarified that his comment serves as a reminder of what is stated in the Constitution.
Hindi po ako sumasang-ayon, hindi ako disagree. Ang sinasabi ko lang po, hindi po yan papel ng Chief of Staff ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. Yan po ay pulisiya na dapat ang Presidente ang humugis, mag-anunsyo o di naman kaya. Yan po isang bagay pagdating sa relasyon natin sa Pilipinas at China na dapat ang Department of Foreign Affairs ang nagsasalita, at pagdating naman sa kasunduang mga seguridad, meron naman po tayong sibilyan na kalihim ng Department of National Defense. Yan po siguro ang dahilan kung bakit sinasabi natin na civilian rule shall be supreme over the military, dahil kung hahayaan natin sa militar ang silang gumawa ng desisyon, baka gera tayo ng gera. Okay? Ako rin naman ipapaalala naman po kung anong nakasaad sa ating saligang batas.
It can be recalled that last month, China expressed interest in conducting joint military drills with the Philippines. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Jane Cudnita, SMNI News.
On updates outside of the Philippines, the United States, Japan, and South Korea held trilateral missile defense drills in response to North Korea's military threats. Kim Sung reports.
Japan, South Korea, and the United States held trilateral missile defense drills at the international waters south of Jeju Islands, where they showcased Aegis destroyers, Rox Yulgokyi, USS Benfold, and JS Haguro. According to the Navy, the drills conducted on Tuesday were an answer to Pyongyang's increasing missile and nuclear threats, including the recent attempt to launch a spy satellite that violates UN Security Council resolutions. The exercise also conducted procedures of detecting and tracking simulated target under the scenario of North Korea's ballistic missile provocations. It also includes an inspection of real-time information sharing system on North Korea's missile warning data as a contingency to an agreement signed by Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, U.S. President Joe Biden, and South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. This is the fifth trilateral naval exercise held under the Yoon administration as South Korea continues to expand security ties with the U.S. and Japan amid tensions with North Korea. Meanwhile, in response to the trilateral cooperation, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un bolsters the nation's naval forces during his visit to the Navy Command. The naval headquarters visit was the first since Kim took power in 2012. Analysts look at that move as his intention to support the naval capacity assets by deploying nuclear weapons in the near future. Kim said in a speech that the waters of the Korean Peninsula have become the world's most unstable waters, with the dangers of the nuclear war caused by the reckless confrontational moves of the U.S. Seoul Isobugo, Kim Sang-imnida, SMNI News, South Korea.
Cambodia's pro-China stance is expected to continue under the leadership of its newly elected Prime Minister. Chatmongkon Pizamaygos on reports.
Hun Sen, the so-called Cambodia strongman, officially stepped down as Prime Minister on August 22. He was replaced by his 45-year-old son, Hun Manet, who is likely to follow in his footsteps by establishing good relations with China. Hun Sen once described China as a trustworthy friend. In April 2006, both nations signed several bilateral agreements. Beijing promised to provide $600 million in loans and grants and cancel much of Cambodia's debt. Hun Sen's eldest son and Cambodia's new Prime Minister, Hun Manet, graduated from the U.S. Military Academy and earned degrees in the United States and Britain. Given his educational background, some speculated he might adopt a more Western-leaning stance. Earlier this month, Hun Manet warmly welcomed Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, signaling that the strong ties between China and Cambodia will continue, while some hope he could achieve a greater balance between Beijing and several democratic countries such as the United States, Japan, Australia, and European Union member states. Hun Sen previously said that he could return to office if his son's life is in danger. The 71-year-old former Prime Minister is expected to retain political influence in his role as head of the ruling Cambodian People's Party, as well as serve in other positions until 2033. The relations between Cambodia and China can be traced back to the 13th century, while diplomatic ties were officially established in 1958. รายงานจากราชบุรี นายชัดมงคล พิสมัยโกศล SMNI News ประเทศไทย สวัสดีครับ
Meanwhile, China's Navy hospital ship is now on the last part of its diplomatic mission to provide free medical services to several Pacific island nations. Sheena Salim has the news.
China's Navy hospital Peace Ark has left Solomon Islands for Timor-Leste. The Southeast Asian nation will be the last stop of the initiative known as the Harmonious Mission 2023. The hospital ship embarked on a 7-day visit and medical service mission to the Solomon Islands from August 19 to 26. Peace Ark visited Solomon Islands for the first time and has provided free medical services to the local people and Chinese residents during its 1-week stay. It has sailed to Timor-Leste for a 7-day visit and will provide a medical service there. Peace Ark left East China's Zhejiang province in July with 126 medical personnel on board. The 14,300 metric ton ship visited Kiribati, Tonga, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, and East Timor. Thousands of patients benefited from the free medical services offered during its 3-month overseas mission. China has been building closer ties with countries in the Pacific in recent years. The diplomatic mission took place amid a competition with the United States and its allies for influence in the region. Reporting from New South Wales, this is Sheena Salim, SMNI News, Australia.
With its decision to release treated radioactive water, Japan received piles of criticism from neighboring countries and the international community. Ria Saito files this report.
Neighboring countries and the international community flames Japan for its poor decision to dump treated radioactive water despite it still containing tritium. Last Monday, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Wenbin expressed a strong opposition on the matter and encouraged Japan to be responsible and stop its selfish act.
中方一贯依法保障在华外国人的安全和合法权益。我还要强调的是，日本政府无视国际社会的强烈质疑和反对，单方面强行启动福岛核事故污染水排海。 周边邻国和国际社会对日本政府这种自私自利、极不负责的行为，普遍持批评态度，并采取相应防范措施。
According to Wang, due to Japan completely ignoring criticism, warnings, and protests by people from different nations, Japan is not only receiving criticism only from China, but also from the international community, adding that lawfully China is sure to protect the safety and legal rights and interests of foreign residents in China, a complete 180 of what Japan is doing. Wang gave Solomon Islands Prime Minister as an example of among those who expressed a strong opposition to Japan's decision to discharge wastewater. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs Vanuatu also called for immediate action to stop Japan from its water release. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Korea said his country will demand an immediate halt of the release and file an international lawsuit in the event that the concentration level of a single nuclide goes beyond the standard, and that they will also keep in place its import ban on fishery products from 8 Japanese prefectures, including Fukushima. The ROK's Democratic Party called the release of the nuclear-contaminated water an act of environmental terrorism. Germany's Federal Environment Minister said whatever plans similar to Japan's should be done on a scientific basis, and the process should be clear. Malaysian Health Director General said his country will place a higher standard of inspection on high-risk food products that are being imported by Japan. Moreover, Thailand's Food and Drug Administration says they will also tighten their inspection of food imported from Japan and will double its collection of samples to search for radioactive material. The Democratic Party of Japan has now also expressed extreme concern regarding its government's decision. According to Japan's Social Democratic Party, its daring acts are unforgivable. On the other hand, the National Fisheries Cooperative Federation of Japan, together with the Fisheries Cooperative of Miyagi, united to rally with the victims of nuclear bombing in Hiroshima. The United States has also lessened imports of agricultural, forestry, and fishery products from Japan, despite the United States saying it was happy and that it supports the decision of Japan. Ijo ni Hokrasi News at Stashmashita, SMNI, Japan.
In recent days, several sea lions in Argentina were lost due to a highly pathogenic avian influenza outbreak, despite the country being declared free from the said virus. Let's find out more about this from Charity Valdez.
Officials from Argentina's National Service of Agri-Food Health and Quality, or SENASA, were seen removing dozens of sea lions from a breakwater in the beach resort of Mar del Plata on Sunday after an outbreak of avian influenza among the area's sea lion population.
Nosotros el martes pasado se hicieron los primeros muestreos de lobos marinos con sintomatología compatible a influenza aviar, o también conocida como gripe aviar. El tema de gripe aviar en lobos marinos ya lo habíamos visto en países como en Perú y en Chile. Ahí ya hubo casos positivos de influenza aviar, por lo que Argentina ya tiene implementados protocolos que son considerados a nivel mundial para todo el tratamiento de los lobos en caso de muerte, como es su enterramiento con todas las medidas sanitarias.
This comes as highly pathogenic avian influenza, or HPAI, has been identified as the cause of the deaths of 57 sea lions along the coastal areas of Argentina. According to a report from the World Organization for Animal Health, or WOAH, issued on the 25th of August, the sea lions of Mar del Plata are believed to be infected with the said virus. Coast Guard and port authorities have closed the south breakwater to pedestrian traffic in a bid to stem the spread of HPAI and prevent pets from being infected.
También cerramos lo que es para nosotros la Escocera Sur, porque era un lugar que la lobería estaba muy cerca de los que la iban a observar, por eso lo cerramos por una cuestión de precaución.
Experts from SENASA believe that sea lions are contracting the disease from wild birds and spreading it via fecal matter. Similar outbreaks have been reported along Buenos Aires provinces, Atlantic coast, and in the Patagonia region. Although avian flu is not transmissible from animals to humans, the World Health Organization, or WHO, has warned of an alarming rise of outbreaks among mammals, suggesting the highly infectious H5N1 virus could mutate and infect people. Meanwhile, a separate WOAH report stated that 9,542 other birds in Argentina have been lost to HPAI in 2023. This is Charity Valdez reporting, SMNI News.
In other news, in the United Kingdom, thousands of air passengers experienced long delays and cancellations after a technical issue hit the country's air traffic control systems. Lenny Llovido has the details.
Airlines across the United Kingdom were forced to cancel hundreds of flights and delay many more on Monday due to what the country's National Air Traffic Service described as a technical issue. In London's Heathrow Airport, crowds of travelers were seen struggling after being stranded in the departures terminal due to the technical error unleashed chaos during the busy holiday season.
Some computers from the flight security didn't work, so all flights to Europe got cancelled, and we hope that in the next 24 hours there will be flights again. A new flight for free, but I don't know flight details like when it goes or something else, so we'll have to see. Just wait and see.
So I was flying from Lufthansa, flight LH909, and yeah, it's been cancelled. They said they'll give us a refund on hotel accommodation, but for some reason they're saying now they won't. We have to do it ourselves. It doesn't make sense.
According to reports, more than 200 flights set to depart from the UK were cancelled, while 271 inbound planes were also grounded. National Air Traffic Service said it had encountered a flight planning issue affecting its ability to process flight plans automatically. The organization has since reported that the issue has been resolved. Although airports and airlines nationwide have warned, there are still significant delays and that some knock-on disruption could last for days. Reporting, this has been Lenny Llovido, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, the two heads of state of Russia and Turkey will reportedly hold talks more than a month after the Black Sea grain deal broke down following Russia's refusal to extend it. Sigrid Castañeda reports.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan will hold talks with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin ahead of the 78th UN General Assembly session starting September 19, according to an Ankara political source via Russian media TASS. Both leaders plan to meet by the Assembly's commencement, with the exact timing still under consideration. Key topics on the agenda include finding a peaceful resolution to the Ukraine conflict and assessing a crucial grain deal. Turkish officials have consistently favored the original grain deal, reiterated by Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan in Kyiv. Erdoğan and Putin will reportedly explore options to revive the deal in its original form, as well as alternative pathways for grain supply to nations in need. Earlier, TASS reports said that the meeting between Putin and Erdoğan will likely take place in Sochi on September 4. However, a Bloomberg report citing Turkish officials hinted at a September 8 visit to Russia. Although the Turkish presidential administration did not comment on the matter, Ömer Çelik, the ruling Justice and Development Party or AK Party spokesman, confirmed that the meeting will be held in Sochi but did not mention any date. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, meanwhile, confirmed an upcoming meeting without specifying dates. Reporting, this has been Sigrid Castañeda, SMNI News.
Ukraine has claimed that it has captured the village of Robotyne, which they say is a key village on the southern part of the Zaporizhia front. Jean Domingo has this report.
Ukraine's push on the Zaporizhia front gained ground as it confirmed the capture of Robotyne village, a pivotal move aimed at splitting Russia's defenses to the overland path to Crimea. According to Ukraine, the capture of Robotyne brings their forces closer to Russia's main defense line, guarding routes to the Sea of Azov. Despite modest territorial gains around 4 miles since June, Ukraine's advance has been steady, marked by clearing dense minefields and trenches along the front line. Challenges include open terrain visibility and mine clearance risks. Ukraine's strategy shifted to prioritize mine clearance with specialized units. International aid, including Norway, aims to bolster mine clearing capabilities. U.S. pressure redirected Ukraine's efforts to the southern front for a focused counteroffensive. Ukraine seeks to disrupt the land bridge to Crimea through advances Robotyne and Velyka Novosilka. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Jean Domingo, SMNI News.
Before the racially motivated shooting rampage in a dollar store in Jacksonville, Florida, reports revealed that the gunman first went to a historically black university but was chased off by a police officer. Virgil Parba has the news.
A campus police officer's rapid response prevented a potential disaster at Edward Waters University, the state's first historically black university. This was by Zachary Faison Jr., the president of Edward Waters University. The incident, however, ended tragically with a shooting spree at a local Dollar General store, claiming 3 lives. There were Angela Michelle Carr, 52, Arnold Joseph A. Laguerre Jr., 19, and Gerald Deshawn Galeon, 29. The gunman, 21-year-old Ryan Palmater, shot himself shortly after carrying the attack. Palmater's suspicious actions at the university, wearing gloves and a military-style vest, caught the attention of alert students who promptly alerted a campus police officer. The officer confronted him, prompting Palmater to flee in his vehicle towards a nearby Dollar General store.
We learned that the perpetrator of this heinous act did come to the Edward Waters campus via his vehicle and drive onto the campus. Fortunately, our PEP security team, led by Lieutenant Bailey and Chief Williams, directly confronted this perpetrator almost immediately pursuant to him coming on our campus. Confronted him and were able to ascertain that he was not a student or member of our university community. The perpetrator then did put on an armored vest and get back in his vehicle. And at that time, our campus security pursued him further and directed him off of the Edward Waters campus, followed him in his vehicle down Kings Road and away from the Edward Waters campus. Unfortunately, little did we know that he had some, of course, very, very heinous and vitriolic aims. And sometime thereafter, then went into a local place of business and murdered 3 individuals.
The university president expressed condolences to the victims. He also expressed thankfulness that they were able to drive the gunman out of the university. Authorities said Palmer's actions were driven by apparent racial hatred. Subsequent investigation revealed written manifestos expressing his intense hatred towards black individuals. Reports citing local authorities said they may release these manifestos in the near future. Residents and various groups held a rally and prayer vigil for the victims of the attack. Meanwhile, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was reportedly booed when he spoke at the vigil. However, he was able to continue his speech after a local councilwoman told the crowd to put political parties aside. DeSantis has pledged $1 million to enhance campus security at Edward Waters University, with an additional $100,000 to support the victims' families.
I'm pleased to be able to announce we're going to be able to do $1 million to Edward Waters College to increase security on campus. As I've said for the last couple of days, we are not going to allow our HBCUs to be targeted by these people, and so we're going to provide security help with them. We also have FDLE on site today evaluating security on campus and making recommendations for any additional infrastructure improvements. Also, per the request at yesterday's vigil, we're able to do $100,000 to the charity that's supporting the victims' families, and those funds are all coming from Volunteer Florida. So we're going to continue to work with those folks in the days and weeks ahead.
Reporting this has been Virgil Parba, SMNI News.
A humanitarian delegation from the United Arab Emirates has distributed more food parcels for the Sudanese refugees in Chad. Grateru Amori reports.
Humanitarian efforts continue to alleviate the suffering of Sudanese refugees seeking shelter in northern Chad.
The humanitarian team consists of the Emirates Red Crescent, the Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan Charitable and Humanitarian Foundation, and the Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan Foundation. The Emirati humanitarian team currently in northern Chad is conducting field visits to assess and meet the needs of Sudanese refugees and locals. The ongoing conflict in Sudan has displaced a large number of people and forced them to seek refuge in neighboring Chad. An estimated 150,000 people have crossed the Chadian border so far since the war erupted, as numbers continue to increase.
Besides tons of food parcels, the UAE also built a field hospital in northern Chad and even sent military vehicles to support anti-terrorism efforts. Reporting from Dubai, this has been Gratero Omori, SMNI News, United Arab Emirates.
Iran has inaugurated the last phase of the biggest offshore gas field in the world after years of getting delayed due to U.S. sanctions. Melchizedek Cadiz files this report.
Assalamu alaikum. Phase 11 of the South Pars gas field was officially inaugurated in the presence of the Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. Speaking at the inaugurational ceremony in Asaluya port, Raisi described the long-delayed project as complex and unique. The South Pars or North Dome field is a natural gas condensate field located in the Persian Gulf and is the largest natural gas field in the world. It is estimated to hold 14 trillion cubic meters of recoverable gas reserves and 18 billion barrels of recoverable liquefied natural gas. South Pars Phase 11 will initially produce 15 million cubic meters of gas per day before increasing its output to 56 million cubic meters of gas, 50,000 barrels of gas condensate, and 750 metric tons of sulfur per day. Two overseas companies backed out from the project in 2018 due to pressure from U.S. sanctions. Local Iranian experts manage the project and is no longer dependent on foreign consultants after foreign firms walked out of it. The project was 4 years ahead of schedule and saved the country $800 million in development cost of the gas field. Barakallahu fikum jami'an, kan hada Melchizedek Cadiz, Akhbar SMNI, Kuwait.
Workers from two gas facilities in Australia are planning to go on strike next month over pay and working conditions. Sasha Hassa tells us more.
The proposed industrial action by workers at two LNG plants in Australia sparked concerns over supply. The LNG plants are operated by U.S. Energy. The Wheatstone and Gargan sites plan to conduct the strike action on the two sites in Western Australia, employ about 500 workers across LNG. An actual strike at two Australia would have far-reaching impacts, such as possible supply. Meanwhile, news of the strike sent European month high. Chevron last week said it will direct at its three Australian LNG facilities to avoid action. Reporting from Sydney, this has been Sasha Hassa, SMNI Australia.
In other news, France's ambassador to Niger has rejected an ultimatum by Niamey coup leaders to leave the country after a 48-hour deadline elapsed. More of this report from Margaret Barcasio.
While recognizing the difficult situations faced by France ambassadors to other countries, French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed in a major speech in Paris on Monday Ambassador Sylvain It's decision to stay put in Niger despite being given a 48-hour deadline on Friday to leave the country. The European Union expressed its full support for Ambassador Sylvain It, and President Macron also lauded the French envoy to have made the choice to remain in Niamey. Macron added, and I quote, "I think our policy is the right one. It's based on the courage of President Bazoum and on the commitments of our ambassador on the ground, who is remaining despite all the pressure, despite all the declarations made by the illegitimate authorities. We do not recognize the putschist. We support a president who has not stepped down, and besides, whom remain engaged." End of quote. It can be remembered that Niger's foreign ministry said the French envoy had refused to meet with the new rulers and cited French government actions that were contrary to the interest of Niger. Over the weekend, tens of thousands of pro-coup supporters gathered in Niamey's General Sani Couch Stadium, the largest in the country, as members of the military leadership, the National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland, held a massive rally to celebrate the first month of the takeover. Footage shows demonstrators holding placards outside a French military base, accusing Paris of interfering in the country's affairs.
On est ici parce qu'on en a marre de la France et de la politique des Noirs qui se cachent derrière le peuple pour nous faire des jeux occidentaux. On en a marre parce qu'on a donné un ultimatum aux Français de quitter notre territoire. Parce qu'ils sont là que pour nous pourrir la vie, pas pour nous aider. Ils sont là de nous piller, prendre nos ressources.
This as France currently has roughly 1,500 troops stationed in Niger as part of a counterinsurgency force in the Sahel region. Meanwhile, locals can also be seen holding Nigerian and Russian flags inside the stadium, while military officials were seen waving to the people in the stands. To recall, the military coup in Niger took place on the 26th of July, replacing democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum with General Abdurrahmani Chani, who heads the presidential guard. The West African Region Bloc, the Economic Community of West African States, imposed sanctions, and the U.S., the European Union, and other international organizations condemned the actions. This is the fifth coup in Niger since independence from France in 1960 and the seventh military coup to occur in West and Central Africa in 3 years. Currently, ECOWAS has been trying to negotiate with the leaders of the Niger coup and has said it is ready to deploy troops to restore constitutional order if diplomatic efforts fail. This is Margaret Parkasha reporting, SMNI News.
Hybrid durian and jackfruit for planting in Palawan are now being prepared. MJ Mondehar for this report.
At first glance, you might think that this is just an ordinary coconut plantation. But unknown to many, this is where hybrid plants are stored that could uplift the lives of our fellow Palawan residents. Underneath the coconut trees, the nursery of JCA Sweeties lineup, a variety of jackfruit developed by Palawan Representative Jose Chavez Alvarez himself. This nursery's location is a secret, as each jackfruit seedling it produces costs between 1,200 to 1,500 pesos. However, it is given free to interested residents of Palawan 2nd District under Representative Alvarez's lifelong livelihood program. The process of enarching is done here, and it involves connecting the rootstock of jackfruit to the hybrid variant.
Yung binabanggit ko kanina na rootstocks, di ba? Yung rootstocks ng langka. Ito, kahit anong klaseng butong langka, pwede mong itanim. Ngayon, pag dating ng nasa tamang edad na siya, makikita mo parang stick na siya ng lapis. Di ba? Parang stick na siya ng lapis. Ibig sabihin, kondisyon, tinan nyo yung daon nyo, yung ordinary. Compare mo dito sa abuyo ko. Ibang-iba.
Iba yung...
yung texture pala sa daon, malayo na. Di ba? So ngayon, nakita mo ito, kondisyon na ito yung baba na to. Magdudugtong tayo ngayon, kukuha tayo ng isang mga, halimbawa kung saan pwede dito ito. Yung mga pwede siyang kuna ng sayo na kasing laki niya para idudugtong siya dyan.
For Jerome, Congressman Alvarez's nursery is a big help to his family. The lawmaker pays them 5 pesos per seedling. This is where his family is putting all of their efforts to make a living. And sometimes they earn up to 100,000 pesos per month.
Tapos kami 15,000, 20,000 ang seedling na nadadala po dito.
Pieces?
Opo. Times 5 mo.
Times 5.
Times 5.
Ilan yung kinikita?
100. 100,000 po.
Grabe, no? Ito lang ang trabaho niyo.
Ito lang po dito.
Sikaso.
Sikaso na seedling.
Aside from jackfruit, the nursery also houses hybrid durian seedlings. There are also hybrid pomelos. Congressman Alvarez's program aims to plant 1 million hybrid fruit trees within 3 years. This is his way of sharing knowledge with his fellow District 2 residents for their livelihood. Besides providing free seedlings, the program also guides participants with best practices. Even we got involved in the training.
Ganito rin turo ka mga kababayan sa tamang pagtatanim, paglilipat ng binhi nito papunta dito sa lupa. Yan.
Pero walang alaala na maiwan sa iyo.
Isang gamit.
Si Congressman JC mag-iiwan ng alaala na maging kapakipakinabang sa buhay ng isang tao dahil nga ito sa pagtatanim ng mga prutas dito.
For more information about the program, simply inquire through Congressman Alvarez's official social media accounts and his office in Palawan. For God of the Beloved Philippines, MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with a message of the appointed Son of God. I will never give up because I know that He will always make a way for me. That's all for today's edition of Newsline World. For more news update, you may visit SMNInewschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Sarah Santos. Thank you for watching Newsline World, and thank you to our beloved pastor, Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy, for the opportunity to be a part of this program. May you continue to listen on SMNI as it delivers nothing but fair, truthful, and balanced news, because SMNI is your source of credible news.